what is like, so what's a daily process? What do you have to do? Explain the gadgets. Explain timing. How much do you have to do things? You know what? Because I mean, people just kind of walk in. I remember when I walked into school, I was just kind of like, what? Just shoot themselves like every morning or something, or what? Like, what's the schedule behind that? What goes with that?
Totally. So, for, I guess, in a broader sense, like for most type 1 diabetics, you have to take 2 types of insulin. One that's short acting, so whenever you eat.
Mm-hmm. And long acting.
Yeah, and long acting.
I did know about this. I have read about this.
You read about it. It's a real thing.
Is it 2 hours prior to exercise is what I think an hour and a half to 2 hours prior to exercise is when they should do the long term, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
It's recommended. So when I used to have to like wake up at like 5 a.m. to go dive, I would wake up in the middle of the night to take the long acting and then go back to sleep for an hour or 2 and then go exercise like 30 minutes later.
Okay.
So typically you do that long acting once a day, and then every time you eat or whenever you have high blood sugar is when you would take the short acting one. Since I'm on an insulin pump, I wake up in the morning. Oh, this is another part I'm going to throw in. You have to check your blood sugar, typically, if you don't wear a continuous glucose monitor. And I can show you guys that in a second. And the continuous glucose monitor at least tells me what my blood sugar is and replaces the finger prick. And so I will look at my blood sugar on, it actually basically Bluetooths to here, and it's telling me that I'm high from my really sweet cereal. It's all good though, no worries. So I would count the carbohydrates is how I actually determine how much insulin to give. Your doctor actually sets up a sliding scale for you on how much you're supposed to take. So if you eat 30 grams of carbs, then you should give this.
Counting calories is a whole other measure.
Yeah, exactly. What's cool though is like everything, once you get the hang of it, and every like fast food place now has all the nutrition ingredients. Like if you've ever been curious about how much your latte with 2 pumps of syrup even costs, it's on Starbucks app, funny enough.
Whoa, yeah. There you go.
So I would wake up and count my carbs and give insulin and go about my day. What's cool about my insulin pump is that, my setup that I have with this Dexcom, it talks to each other. So it actually prevents me typically from being low. So I don't take a long-acting insulin. I just take a short-acting insulin because there's only 1 cartridge in here. So and it can't mix. So what's cool about the pump is that it gives you just a replacement of the long-acting by giving you short-acting consistently throughout the day. So as it notices if I'm going down lower, it basically cuts it off and lets my blood sugar rise before it even falls low.
Right, because what are the 2 levels? About 120 to 180?
Even tighter now, it's 80 to like 180 is fair.
80 to 180, okay.
Yeah. Once, for me at least personally, I start to feel the symptoms of being low after being 70. Yikes. But sometimes I can even notice if it's like taking a nosedive down. But what's cool about the Dexcom is that it's totally taking away that finger prick that I used to neglect.
And that was the big stigma behind it, was everybody would have, I don't want to prick my fingers, I got these things going around. Yeah. And then I have a bunch of scars over my face. I never liked it. So that was a big stigma that I knew about as well going into it.
And for me, I guess, like, I would just go about my day normally. After that, it's like if I'm eating a sandwich, just give insulin before. But my pump actually takes care of a lot of it. It'll actually give me more of that, like, hourly rate if it notices I'm going high, or it'll automatically correct it.
Right.
But what's cool is it does all the math for me. I have to do nothing besides sometimes if I want to give a little more, I just give it a manual push.
Okay, you can get like a pump in, like hit me one time.
Absolutely.
I'm hitting some Frosted Flakes right now.
Exactly.
Hit me one time for the one time. Okay.
You know what? Might have to right now. I'm gonna just. It's telling me all these things that I already know. It actually says that, hey, we actually already have insulin working. You're good. Just relax. So I'm gonna relax and drink my water. But
I think we have a question coming in.
Oh, you guys been checking that?
I think we have one.
Yeah, Slick Fargo. Shout out to Slick Fargo. He's asked, how did you find out you were diabetic?
So, my mom actually noticed. I don't know, moms are maybe a little hawkish, at least mine is. She noticed that I was super thirsty for like orange juice and like water. Like I was just drinking way more, and especially I was 9 years old and only weighed 68 pounds at first. Dropped 8 pounds like within a span of a month, and I was 60 pounds. And my mom's like, she's not okay. Dad's, of course, Dad was like, no, she's perfectly fine. Everyone's overreacting.
Right. She's a kid.
Exactly. She's just a kid. She's just, maybe she had a little weight. It's all good. And I went to go take my yearly physical right before my birthday, and they make you pee in a cup, and they'll be like, okay, well, we'll tell you the results. And I guess because you can actually find sugar passing through in your urine.
Yeah.
So that's why if your doctor has you pee in a cup, that's one of the tests that they might run. And they called us late at night and said, hey, go to Children's Hospital of Oakland right now.
Get that insulin.
So then I went to the hospital after, I guess my physician was already in contact with them and let them know that I was coming there, so to expect me.
Right.
And the rest of that was history. 1 week of staying in the hospital, but it's cool.
Did you do you know if you developed like that fruity breath? With the extreme hypoglycemia?
I don't know if I did develop that, but my mom
Not like a good fruity, people.
No,
bad fruity.
It's a really bad fruity. I don't even know what to describe it as. Like, I wish mine was even fruity. It's not even a good type. It's just like feels stale.
I forget what they explained it in school what it smelled like, and I can't remember what they were explaining it as, but
it's not a pleasant one. It's like you can't brush it out of your mouth either.
It's not like juicy fruit. That
no,
ain't there.
No. But what was your question right now?
Well, it was how did you find out? So that was kind of.
So that was the main thing, but the frequent urination and the frequent water, like the frequent
telltale signs that I'm sure any of your physicians or especially like a pediatrician at that point would be like, ooh.
Absolutely, and
that's a thing.
I had a headache that wouldn't go away, and I wasn't one of those kids that like said that they had a headache so you go to the health, like the nurse's office and get an ice pack.
I want to suck her like.
No, like I kept like I was serious with my mom's like I have a headache, I can't do homework, and I just wanted to like take a nap. But shout out to moms for knowing. Moms always know best.
Yeah, had a wrist hanging down here. My dad was like, he's fine. But shouts to moms.